welcome to the Mitzvah Party Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything that has to do with mitzvah parties. This is episode number 5, recorded on Tuesday, April the 3rd, 2018. My name is Clint Huft, and with me is a gentleman who probably, if you look up mitzvah parties in the dictionary, good luck with that. But if you did, you'd probably see his picture right next to it, the one and only Gil Zuniga.
Yes. Hey, how you doing? How you doing today?
My life is fantastic, thank you.
Good.
So Gil is at Gil, no, that's a big fat lie. Gil is Gil, but he is at ZunigaEntertainment.com. Z as in zebra, UNIGA entertainment.com, where you will find all the things that he does for mitzvah parties. And I love, we started chatting a little bit before we hit the record button, and I love what you want to talk about today. Go.
Well, I wanted to talk about event planners, party planners. Yeah, it's huge. It's a huge subject. I've been working with party planners since the beginning of working with the company I worked for. You always, not always, a lot of the times you were working with party planners, and yeah, there's a few good stories about them. And by the most part, I've been lucky to have worked with a lot of really good ones and some not so good.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because it's kind of like if, I don't know, somebody can call themselves a psychic, and you know, how do you evaluate that as a training for it? And somebody can call themselves a party planner or an event planner, and you know, what kind of experience or education do you have that would warrant having that title? And you know, that's why when you say it's a big topic, it's a big topic because there's so many different kinds of party planners.
No, there are. There's the big name party planners, and we live in a city that has a few of those that work with the celebrities, with the elite of Los Angeles, Southern California, and I've worked with quite a few of those. And then there's the medium size, I guess for lack of a better word, party planners that work with most people, depending on their income, who can, you know, because obviously not everyone can afford the elite party planners. And then the ones who are just moms that decided, hey, you know what, I did a really nice job doing our parties, so I'm going to try to do this with my friends. And so I've worked with all of them, and I still work with all of them. Including the last one of the people that I've worked with for 20 years, I think, was I did her all 3 of her boys' bar mitzvahs, and she decided after planning her own parties, never working with a party planner, that she was going to be a part-time party planner, and you know, lived in Beverly Hills and had a husband who was very successful, but she needed something to do. So she did that, and I was her go-to guy. So she uses us to this day. She'll call and say, hey, I have an event for you, or I've got a potential client, because I'm working on this. The big party planners, the celebrities, I think there's like 3 or 4 of them that I've worked with here in LA. I tell you, they can be pretty tough to work with sometimes, because they're just so regimented. It's almost like you need to go out and have a beer with these guys prior to working with them or having drinks to know what they're really like, because when they're at a party, they can be totally scary. And I've experienced it. I'll tell you a little story about an event that I did one time with one of these party planners. We were in the backyard of a huge TV movie producer guy. He had tented his tennis court, had cocktail hors d'oeuvres in the front lawn, big front lawn, had all this stuff there. I mean, just amazing stuff that they had. They had this huge ice sculpture table, and it's like a mini castle, and they were serving sushi on it, and they had this huge photo booth with this huge camera looking thing. It was just an amazing stuff in the front yard. In the back, we had, like I said, the tented tennis court, and they flew a band in from New York, and we were the DJ company as well. They had all these screens everywhere. It looked gorgeous. It was gorgeous. But let me get to what happened. So they brought in a sound system that we plugged into, and it was huge. It was a huge sound system for the band and ourselves. And at one point of the party, it was just thumping, and we were playing the music. And they had these centerpieces on each table that were like a pedestal, and it had like a fishbowl type centerpiece on top, and it had actual fish in it, and there was flowers around it. It looked beautiful. It was gorgeous, and each table had this.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? So, and there's a lot of celebrities. There was a bunch of celebrities because he invited a lot of celebrities to this event to make it a work affair, so he can write it off. And I'm sure. And all of a sudden, I'm in my area and I hear this roar, and I look over and I see these tables are like 10 person rounds. They have 10 people per table. And I see these people backing away from their table, and they have their hands on the table. And for some reason, I thought they're trying to lift the table. They're trying to do some kind of trick. I don't know what I thought, but I did think that, which is a weird thought. And then all of a sudden I realized that the glass on top burst. And yeah, it just completely burst. It just completely broke, and the water just came rushing down all over the table. And that's why they were backing away. I started cracking. I went, oh my God. I started cracking, like, how did that happen? What happened? And then all of a sudden, this party planner raced over to me, right? And I'm in a corner, and to my left in the actual corner was the sound guys, the guys who were running the soundboard. And she walked over to me, and she was so pissed. She said, "Turn down your bass." And with the biggest smile that I could produce, I looked at her and said, "It's not me." I pointed to my left. I said, "It's your sound guys." And she looked at me and she went, "Oh," and just walked away from the sound guys, because I had no control. I was just playing the music. They were EQing everything. They were,
Wait a minute. Did she just walk away in a huff and didn't talk to the sound people?
No. She walked over to them.
Oh, okay.
But was there an "I'm sorry" or "okay"? Nothing. She didn't say anything after that. But I was smiling, going, "Hey, it's not me." And I was so happy that it wasn't me.
Do you think that was the real cause of the problem, that there was so many vibrations, that the fish bowls were kind of shaking on their stand, and that really was the cause?
It didn't matter. It didn't matter at that moment, because I knew that I had nothing to do with it.
Right. So, but I'm just curious as to.
It could have been. No, absolutely could have been. It could have been. Absolutely. I to this day, I kind of doubt it, but it could have been. And so she had them pull the bass off, because it was real. The sound system sounded great. I can't believe that they would put such thin glass, on something like that it would the vibration could burst it. And that was the only time it happened during the whole party, during the whole time. But yeah, she was something else. This party planner, she was something else. She just, man, she ran everything with fear. And I remember experiencing one of my guys who was the MC to that event, because I was the DJ at that event years ago. And he was a guy that we talked about that kind of lived with his clients. And this was
yeah, right.
Yeah. So he had this client in his back pocket. And I remember we were someplace, we were at the House of Blues or something, having a meeting in regards to the event, and I had to go. And I remember he said something to the client, and then the client looked at the party planner and said, "Whatever he wants."
Oh my gosh.
Which I just was taken by surprise. I went, "Oh my God, really? Okay. Wow."
That was a learning moment.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's just amazing. And it was one of those moments where you just go, okay, yeah, well, it's worked for him, and it worked for him a lot back in those days. And he had that kind of clientele because of what we talked about before, him just basically moving in with the client prior to the event. But that was, and I've had other experiences with event planners throughout the years, and one in particular that I remember that I ended up at the very beginning just having bumping heads with, and then having a great relationship with them for the next 10, 15 years. Was at an event, and I walked in, and after changing my clothes or something, and I noticed that all the salads were on the tables, and people were going to be coming in about 15, 20 minutes. And I thought, why are they doing that? I looked at my order of events. I thought, no, we're not doing this. Why? They're going to walk. And my first thought is they're going to walk in and start eating these salads before we even do anything. This is ridiculous. Why would they put these salads down now? So I walked over to my client and I said, hey, this is not good. And I explained to them why, and they went, oh, yeah, absolutely. So then I said, I'll take care of it. So I walked over to the party planner, which I'd never met before. Hey, you know what? The client and I just spoke about these salads being down, and she wants them picked up because what's going to happen is, and she just turned red. And I said, what's going to happen is they're going to walk in and start eating this, and we have to still do a grand entrance, a hora, and then we have to bless the challah and do the chamotzi and the kiddush. She looked at me and said, what? No. And then she walked over to the client. The client pretty much backed me up, and they had to move all the plates off the tables. And so she did not like me. And throughout the party, we worked together, and I just let it go. I just went, okay, I got to work with this woman the rest of the day. And by the end of the party, she had warmed up to me because she figured because I knew what I was doing. I was checking in with her. I was making sure that everything before we did anything, that she was ready for this, for that, for, the main course, that she was ready for dessert, whatever it needed that she needed to do, I made sure. And she appreciated that I would walk up to her and say, are you ready? Are we good to go with this? And so by the end of the party, she was my friend. And it was great. And we had a really long relationship. I left the company that I worked for, and she sought me out and hired me for events and would refer me for events for years later, probably the first 12 years of me having my own business. And then she basically went into semi-retirement and has since retired. Yeah, and then you have these people who have no clue of what they're doing, or just plain mean. I've had mean party planners that just will throw you under the bus, or try to throw you under the bus at any moment, because they want to make sure that they shine, because it's about them. It's not about the teamwork to make the event the best it can be. It's about them. They want to make sure that they shine. And I've had people do that to me as well, a few, and then and I would, it makes me shiver to think of this one particular event planner, who was just a total terror. And she wasn't very good at what she did as well, which makes it really hard. I mean, if they're good at what they do and they're like that, that's different than if they're not good at what they do and they're like that, because they think they are and they're not. And I've been doing this enough for so many years that I know how things should flow. I know how a party should flow. I know what pitfalls there might be, sort of red flags. And that's what I tell my clients a lot of times when I'm working with party planners. I say to them, sure, absolutely. We'll create the timeline, and we'll take a timeline from the party planner. And if there are any red flags that I see, I will make you aware of it, you, my client. Okay. Now, it's different if you're working for a party planner. Like if a party planner hires you and you're contracted through the party planner because she brought you into this mix, then it's a completely different world. Because then you're like, whatever you want. You are my client. But if the party planner is an equal member of the team, we're working for the client, then it's like, no, I'll throw in my 2 cents. I will, if I see a red flag or I hear a red flag, I will make my client aware of it and give them my expertise on it, especially if I know that the event planner or whoever it may be, the captain of the room, whoever it is not out for the best interest of the client.
Well, what's interesting is that whole idea of teamwork. And I can understand where a party planner who traditionally they're kind of like at the head of the organizational chart. You know what I mean? The party planner kind of calls the shots throughout the event, usually. And so I can understand what
Yes.
they would think to themselves. I'm general of this operation, and so everything goes through me. Okay, that's the first thing that I can understand that mentality. The second thing is, if it is a team event, I'm curious as to why you would go to the client for, and I understand what you just said about the client is the client and they're the ones that write the check and they're the one, so you want to take care of them first. However, if it's a team environment, why you would go to the client first and not to the party planner first?
Well, most of the time, if I'm going to go to the client, I will have discussed it with the event planner.
Okay.
I would like if we're communicating through emails, I will make suggestions. I will say, let's do this because of this. Let's change this because of that. I will explain myself why, because it's and a lot of times you're communicating through email with them or over a phone call. If I'm not getting any satisfaction, or if this person's just being very stubborn, and I'm talking to them about it, let's do this because of this. And it's been, my experience because of that. And I remember one party planner one time had never worked at this venue, and I had a suggestion and she wouldn't take it. And I said, because I know the venue, and she didn't. I've been very fortunate it's far and few between these types of situations. I've been pretty blessed with working with really nice party planners and team mentality party planners, or party planners just knew what they were doing. So then when they know what they're doing, I just follow along. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Just go with it.
It's kind of subjective though, isn't it? That phrase, know what you're doing. It's kind of subjective because, for instance, the example you gave of the coordinator who was probably good at her job but had never worked the venue. So then there's a gap there, right, in the proficiency of the job requirements. In your opinion, how do you evaluate an event planner or a party planner? From your perspective as entertainment and having to be part of the team, what advice would you give somebody who is going to have an event, going to have a mitzvah party, and they need to hire a party planner? What would be the criteria?
If you have someone who has a dictatorship mentality, and some people like that, some clients may like that because they don't want to deal with anything. That's one of the pitfalls, I think, or one of the red flags on my radar when it comes to party planners. I think the party planner that has more of a team mentality of making sure that it's a team effort and we all play our parts. I think that's a better attitude to have at an event. And I've found that more on the higher end event planners, they're more of a dictatorship, even though I have worked with some that aren't, that have that team mentality and say, okay, we're all going to play our part. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And it's like, okay, great.
Were you going to work with somebody for the very first time, a party planner, and you're going to work with them for the very first time? What do you do? What kind of communication do you have, or do you initiate? And then what's the timeline before the event in terms of communicating with the planner?
I'm dealing with one right now, in fact, that I'm doing an event in September, and they introduced me to this event planner, and she emailed and said, I wanted to find out about this and about that. What do you guys do this? Do you guys do that? And so I've called her a couple times, and she's always in a meeting, and she calls back after hours, which I'm not available. So I thought, okay, you know what? I've called 2 or 3 times. She's a couple times she didn't call back. Then one time she didn't call back. The 2 times she did call back, it's been after hours. So I'm just going to continue, and I'm just going to send the contract over to the client because I was holding off because she was saying about lighting and about room lighting, and we do all that. We do dance floor lighting, we do room lighting, so I thought, until she can get a hold of me or call me or really make an effort, I'm just going to go straight with the client and then send a contract out for the basic package that we spoke about. And then we'll just add anything on later on when this person becomes, available to speak to. So it's a matter of actually conversing with somebody and then getting a feel for them over the phone and seeing, how they are and what they're going to be like to work with.
Are there other ways of communicating that you prefer besides phone call? I know I've had to deal with clients that were outside the country, and so we're on different time zones and blah, blah, blah. And email seems to be the only way to really efficiently take care of that kind of stuff.
Well, that's how we've been communicating so far through emails, but you really can't get a feel for someone you don't know through an email.
That's true.
You really can't get a feel for what they say.
Right.
It's very cold.
Why would the event planner be involved in the negotiations with the client? Did the client come to you through the event planner, or?
No, I got the client because the client saw me at an event and then decided to hire and then introduce the event planner into the mix. And what I'm getting from the event planner's communications are that she wants a copy of the contract. She wants to see the signed contract from the client because I think that she's going to be taking care of paying all the vendors.
Oh.
So that's what I'm getting from her. And then she said, well, I was thinking about adding a dancer and adding some lights, but that's not from the client, from my client. So since I can't get a hold of this party planner, then I'm just going to go ahead and send the client a contract for the basics of what we spoke about when we spoke last month. So evidently this client's very busy, and that's why she has a party planner. And that's a lot of times the party planner will take care of a lot of the things, but she hired me directly. So
okay.
So I'm sure she has permission. I'm not positive, and I've had party planners like that have the permission of the client to go ahead and to add things, and then they've got to check it with them afterwards. But if I'm brought on by the party planner, it's piece of cake. But if I've got a client, I got to make sure that client knows, because I don't want them to be surprised. I don't want to send them an update or a revised contract saying that we've added, $2,000 to their event, and they didn't know. So before I sent out a contract, I want to be able to communicate directly with the client and say, okay, this is what so and so, this is what we spoke about in regards to adding to the contract. The only thing that's going to change is your bottom line. I just want to make sure that you're okay with this. And, because you don't want any surprises. You don't want to what?
Yeah.
Did what?
No, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like just communication, just over communicating is really the key to pretty much anything in the event industry.
Right. Never assume anything. Never assume anything. Never assume that, she's taking care of this, she's taking care of that, because that's when you get burnt.
Yep, absolutely.
You totally get burned, and I've had that happen. I've had that happen in the past. You kind of learn your lessons as you go along, dealing with event planners and party planners and even captains of the room. If you're at a hotel and the person who's in charge, the catering manager that says to you, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We'll take care of this, take care of that. And then they don't. And they never checked in with the client. Again, I've had that happen.
Well, that's a topic for another episode, I think. I think we should put a little bow on this one. Gil, tell everybody how they can reach out to you.
Zuniga Entertainment on the web, and Zuniga Entertainment on Facebook, and they can. Our phone numbers are there as well, and my phone number here at the office is 818-980-9099, and also we have Mitzvah Party Podcast. If you want to listen to our other podcasts on Facebook, and it's Mitzvah Party Podcast on the internet as well.
Whoop-ah. There you go. All right, everybody. Remember, we really, really, really want to know exactly what you want to know. And so just reach out to Gil and tell him what the subject is, what the questions are, or even if there's something that you thought that we could do to make this podcast even better. And we will jump right on it. That's it for this episode of the Mitzvah Party Podcast. This is Clint, and on behalf of Gil, we will see you next time.